Hello, I'm Ninin Kalamba, the founder of The Blossom Effect, and welcome back to the Blossom Effect podcast. I know we've been quiet for a bit too long. I think first it was just priorities that took over in the first week, and then the second week, and then I think not being consistent kind of got the best of me, and then we spent over 3 weeks away. But happy to be back, happy to get back into it. And I'm hoping that we haven't lost you. If we have, I'm sorry, but please stay on board, come back to us, and don't forget to like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and let's continue to grow together. So, in today's episode, I just wanted to reflect on pretty much daring greatly. So, I turned 29 in April this year, and on my birthday, I took some time to reflect on my 20s and just pretty much figure out how I'm feeling about my 20th, my second decade, not my 20th decade, and how I want my 30s to be like, right? And as I was spending time just thinking about it, reflecting, I realized that I think two things stood out for me. And one, I acknowledge the fact that as you're living out your life, especially adulthood, it's important that you have God at the forefront of it all. It's important that you walk your life with God because as you're growing and you're tapping into these different facets of your life, um, different areas expanding, failures, successes, loss, periods of uncertainty, moments where you're just sitting there and feeling stuck. You can kind of lose yourself and fall into a season of not understanding what your worth is, wondering why exactly were you placed on this earth. And if you don't connect with God, if you don't connect with your creator who gives you all the peace during those periods and gives you the joy in moments where you really shouldn't have any, then your life won't really mean much to you. And I think my 20s for me, all the seasons that I went through, the pressure from peers, the relationships that failed, the rejections from opportunities that I felt were mine, God really kept me grounded and kept me centered and focusing on the fact that He placed me on this earth for a purpose and that He has my life in His hands. And regardless of what happens, He's continuously molding me and pruning me and helping me to step and pivot into the next direction of my life. That just gives me the comfort and the peace that I need to sail through life. And the second thing that I acknowledged was, I think my 20s, I was discovering who Lynn Lee truly is. Not what my parents thought I should be, not what my friends would expect me to be, but really understanding who I am and what I want for myself in life. So, of course, 20, 21, 22, fresh out of university, a new job, you're still there trying to fulfill the expectations and the standards that your parents have set out for yourself, right? So, in my case, I'm not sure if that's the case with everyone else. I kind of had an idea of what my life should be like, right? You get a job, you're supposed to rise through the ranks in your career, and pretty much that's how it's supposed to be. But the more and more I would rise in my career, get different opportunities, I would still feel a sense of this is not me, this is really not the connection that I have. And I think these discussions became even more profound when I met my husband, because we'd have these conversations like, oh, what do you aspire to be? What do you see your life like in maybe 20, not even 20, I think maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, da 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 da, those types of conversations. And I remember each conversation, I don't think there's ever been a moment where I'll be like, yeah, I think this corporate life is where I want to be and that's where I want to stick it out. Somehow I would always express the fact that I really don't think formal employment is something that I want to do for the rest of my life. I mean, even now, I find the idea of it quite daunting. Um, Anytime I sit back and think about what I'd actually want to utilize my time for, it's not really the job that I go to from 7:30 and knock off at 5 p.m. I'm more of a creative at heart. So I love to create. I've always loved to create since I was young. And whether it's creating through design, creating through food, creating through experiences and spaces, creating tools, that is where I thrive and that's where I come alive. And that's something that I would want to be in my day to day. So over the course of the years, I think, especially from 25 to now 29, I've slowly been letting go of the pressure to live up to that expectation of corporate, rise through the ranks, become a chartered accountant, and started embracing more of my creative side and the belief that I can actually not just view my creative side as only a side hustle, but something that can actually be my day to day. I'm hoping that makes sense. So, um, I really believe that God created everyone in their unique way for a reason. And I don't think God, being God in all his creativity, gave us these unique gifts, these great talents that when we consume ourselves in those activities, we come alive for nothing. Yeah. I don't think God in his greatness said, oh, let me give Linley these things or let me give so and so these things. And we only treat them as a side thing if we choose to ever make them a side thing. And I think more and more as I'm growing, I'm starting to realize that maybe I need to start to understand exactly why or how best I can utilize these unique aspects of me to the fullest. Because there's a reason why God gave me these things. There's a reason why God entrusted me with these talents. He wants me to be able to use them to advance myself in life, to help others in life. And the mindset that I've been building over the past couple of years or so is to move away from that mindset of the unique gifts and talents to only be a small aspect or a small side hustle, but to use them to be pretty much everything about me, you know? And it's not easy because in our culture or the Malawian context, pretty much, such types of skills, such types of talents have not been the norm with regards to career, with regards to building a sustainable life for yourself or having and gaining financial freedom through these talents, right? I think it's only something that is starting to come alive as of recent years. And I guess that's another reason why that posed to be a challenge for me to be able to view my life in the lens and in the direction of creative as opposed to corporate. And I made a decision to say, okay, I think I want to use my 29th year as a launch pad for my 30s, for my third decade on life, on earth. I want my 30s to be the life that I envision for myself, the life that I want for myself, the life that I truly believe God placed me on this earth to fulfill. And I know the concept of growing old and turning 30 is something that not everyone loves, right? It's scary because when you think 30, when you think 30s, you think established, you think stability, you think everything is working out for you, career, relationship, house, car, all these things, right? And for some, yes, it does pan out that way. And maybe, yes, right now for me, I do tick those boxes, some of those boxes. But I think it's not, 30s should not be a full stop as far as growth, as far as um, expanding your ways of thinking or different ventures that you can create for yourself in life. I actually view my 30s as a start of something new. Yeah. I know someone could be thinking, okay, I've been working for 9 years. Isn't that 9 years wasted on a career? 9 years wasted, of your life doing something that you feel like is not supposed to be the direction for you. Sure, maybe others may view it that way, but I don't think it's wasted. There's still experiences in my 9 years of corporate that I feel will be very, very beneficial to whatever creative path that I choose to take in my life. And there's no timestamp on it. We have people who start careers that they love and truly chase their passions in their 40s, others in their 50s. And I don't think anyone should ever feel that societal pressure to say, I can't start the journey or the path that I truly believe God wants for me simply because I'm a certain age, right? I think that fear of it's too late for me to start over is usually what holds people back and paralyzes their dreams. And I don't want to be that person. I love the idea of being able to start whenever you can or whenever you feel that you should. So, the theme that I'm going to call my 30s, or starting my 29th year this year, is going to be daring greatly. And daring greatly to me, what that means is simply living my life to the fullest in the way that God intends for me. I want my 30s to be a decade of obedience. I've mentioned before that I'm a perfectionist. I always feel like things should be a certain way. Situations should present themselves a certain way before I can go out and do something, right? But I don't think God expects perfectionism from us. God simply wants us to boldly be obedient to Him and the will that He has for our lives. He doesn't want us to have the right platform, the right words, the right setups. He just wants you to be obedient to the calling that He has for you. So when I say dare greatly, the way I'm going to interpret that for myself is simply start, right? The biggest fear I have and the biggest thing that usually holds me back, even to date, one is imposter syndrome, which is probably why I didn't come back on this YouTube platform for 2 to 3 weeks and upload a video because I was battling with that for a bit. So imposter syndrome aside, the other one is fear. Not fear of failing per se, but fear of failing in front of people. I don't have a bad relationship with failure. I actually welcome it and I have a good relationship with it, I'd like to think. If I fail at something, I mourn it for a bit, but I'm able to overcome it with understanding and trust that God allowed that situation to pan out that way for a reason. And whatever it is that He blocked, He has something greater for me on the other side. But the failure that I fear is failing in front of people, because that comes with a feeling of shame. Yeah. The public perceives you as someone who thought they were, I don't know what's the right word, thought they were worthy of doing something great. Someone thought they were worthy of trying out a big, great idea. Someone thought that they had the qualities of an individual who could be that great being or offer that great platform or offer that great product, whatever it is. And that's my fear. Yeah. And I guess that also ties into the imposter syndrome because no one wants to fail. Yeah. And usually, when you have great ideas in your head, you still have those questions of doubt to say, am I really the right vessel for this message, the right vessel for this task? Am I really as equipped as I believe I am? I know God makes no mistakes, and when God calls you, He doesn't look at what you have or how big your platform is or what you have to offer, right? Because God provides everything. He just needs you to say yes and heed to His calling. But it's still something that as humans, honest to say, we struggle with. And it's something that I struggle with, I think, probably the most. I am passionate about a lot of things. I am convicted that God wants me to deliver and execute certain things. But I'm always asking myself, am I really the right person for it? Will people buy tickets? I remember when we launched the Blossom Effect last year on the 2nd of June. As we opened the registration, in my mind, I was like, okay, I've had this conviction for years. God wants me to be the individual to offer this platform to help women. I mean, as I mentioned, I've always loved creating spaces or creating avenues or tools to help individuals. And whether it's through speaking, organizing events, and I like to bring out the best in individuals by helping identify their unique strengths and qualities, right? So I was like, okay, God puts this idea in my mind. I execute it, I plan it. So planning events is not a big deal for me. So I planned the event myself from start to finish. Everything is working out, right? Now it comes to the point of ticket sales. And I think 2 whole weeks went by and no ticket was sold. It's probably the last week prior to the event where things started taking shape. Actually, when we advertised it, I keep saying we, but really it was just me. When we advertised it, one person registered. And I was happy. I was excited. I was like, oh, this means the other registrations are just going to flow in. Did not happen. Then the week prior to the event, that's when suddenly we got last minute tickets being bought. And my target for that event was 20 young women. The night before the event, I think we got the 17th registration. So 17 out of 20, I wasn't sad. I was still grateful. I was happy because my target was 20. Seats were filled. But in that process, the weeks of the registration process, I kept asking myself, why is this happening? Right? God gives you a certain assignment. You feel strongly that this is the direction that He wants you to take, and things are not happening as they should. The public is not receiving it the way that you thought they should have. And such things are what I think to date um, still make me pull back and really ask myself, okay, maybe I got those 17 registrations by luck. Would anyone really pay for another event today? And I have to constantly tell myself that failure is inevitable. In life, not everything is going to work out from start to finish smooth sailing. You're going to hit bumpy roads, you're going to meet obstacles. Sometimes the door will close shut right in your face, right? And I've had to, I have to constantly tell myself and remind myself that failure, rejection is going to happen. And failing in front of people, failing in front of the public is not something that should hold me back. In fact, you need to look at your failure, even if it's something that, a failed event, only one person registers, you have to cancel that event. You still need to applaud yourself and pat yourself on the back because that failure is evidence that you were brave enough, you had the courage to be able to actually try and execute something that you believed so, so much in. Most people who look at you and your failed experiences and they laugh or they mock you, they're probably not brave enough to even try an inch of what you did. They're probably sitting back on dreams that they can't execute because they're scared, because they don't believe in themselves as much, or maybe they tried, they're rejected, they're bitter. It could be anything, right? And because anyone who truly understands what it feels like to start something, regardless of how big or how small, and see it come to life. They know the blood, the sweat, the tears, the no's, the pivots that they had to encounter and push through in order to see that thing come to life. They wouldn't sit there and laugh at you. They would applaud you. So I have to constantly remind myself to let go of that fear of public perception and just go with it and do what needs to be done. As I said, God doesn't want perfection. God just wants you to boldly be obedient to his calling and trust that whatever he has called you to do, he is going to walk with you. So, daring greatly. The way that I have envisioned myself doing this is to simply make myself available and positioning myself for whatever opportunities I need to be able to advance and achieve everything that I've planned out for my 30s. One thing that I struggle with to date, and I'm still not quite sure how I'm going to navigate this fear, is networking. So when it comes to speaking, public speaking, with whatever official speaking I have to do, it comes naturally. But when it comes to a one-on-one interaction with an individual, I don't know what I'm going to say to you. I often think to myself, okay, I need, let's say, to build this relationship or line of communication with an individual. But now, what do I say? Not only what do I say, what will they think of me? Do they think I'm just bothering them? Will they think my ideas are great? Maybe this goes back to the imposter syndrome. But when it comes to networking, I am honestly not the best. And that's something I really want to work on this year. One thing that I did earlier on, I attended what was that? Not a training, but like an information session. It was an information session on financing um, small, medium enterprises. And Ordinarily, I would send that invitation to a friend so that we can attend it together. So I have someone who is my comfort zone. So I'd go there and I don't feel that awkwardness, right? But I knew if I went with a friend, I would cling to that friend from start to finish. I would not feel the need to engage with anyone else. I would not feel the need to figure out who's who in the room and see what type of relationships can I build. So I made an intentional decision to go to this event by myself. I almost bailed and went for the online attendance option, but I told myself, okay, no, we're not doing this. I need to be able to build networks and go and mingle with other individuals. And so I went. And honestly, it was worth it. Initially, it was difficult, right? But the good thing was the events, the platform manager themselves, the first activity was a networking thing for 5 minutes. And naturally, as myself, after the event, I was just going to go get the snacks and get into my car and leave. But while we were going to get the snacks, the lady I was sitting next to decided to interact with me. And turns out that we were like-minded individuals. We had quite similar ideas and we exchanged numbers. And of course, to date, we haven't really worked together in anything. But the fact that I was actually able to meet someone who could be a potential collaborator in future, that I think was God kind of affirming to me that, you see, this whole networking thing is actually worth it and it's something that you need to do more. And that's something that I'm trying to work on. So you might be also thinking to yourself that you're shy, you're not an extrovert, you're not someone who's very bubbly and, you don't know what to say when you're speaking to someone. But confidence is not something that you build whilst in your comfort zone. Confidence is something that you build while exerting yourself in spaces that you feel uncomfortable. As awkward as it might be, network, meet new people, and create relationships. So it could be today it starts with a hi, hello, how are you? Then tomorrow you could ask them a simple question. Where did you get that book? What podcast do you watch? And now on social media, you can simply start by commenting on someone's post, whether it's on Instagram or LinkedIn. They post something, you could say, oh, well done, or interesting. It can start with that little comment. You make that a repetitive pattern, and slowly and surely you see that you're becoming more comfortable with engaging with individuals online or offline. Another way that I'm going to ensure that I dare greatly in my 30s and how I'm preparing for that in this year is with all the plans that I have, the different avenues through which I want to create, time is something that I think is probably one of my biggest limiting factors. If I'm looking at it from a closed mindset, right? Because I think, okay, I have a full-time job, so 7:30 to 5. I have 2 kids under 2, and I'm a wife. So I don't really have the time to take on anything else, right? Understandably so. You might want to spend time with your children. You might want to spend time with your husband. You might want to prioritize maybe other church responsibilities that you have, family, whatever the case may be. But if you truly want to venture into things that matter to you, you need to be able to make necessary adjustments. One great adjustment that I've had to make in my life of late is adjusting my wake up time and my start off time. So waking up at, I don't want to say 5 p.m. because it's not consistent, but maybe 6, get to work by 7:30. So today was actually probably the third day arriving to work that early. I'm usually not very late, but should I really be saying this on YouTube? But anyway, I arrived at the required time. So today I arrived at 7:30 and I was actually able to have a very productive morning before starting my work. So I got to work and I started just touching base with my other um, business tasks that I had, updating my planner with the things that I had set out. And also now I'm shooting this episode at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. My kids are asleep. So you need to be able to make the necessary sacrifices. Time will never be enough. Even if you had 72 hours in a day, it wouldn't be enough. But with the time that you have, you need to be able to allocate it to the necessary tasks. So I have the Blossom effect, right? And I have a full-time job. I recently restarted graphic designing and I also want to start 2 other businesses. But obviously, it's quite difficult to divide myself into 6 different directions all at once. If I'm not able to complete everything that is required by waking up early, using my lunch hour, working till late after I put kids to bed, don't shy away from adding people to your team. Now, if you don't have the necessary resources to be able to pay people what they're worth, you can simply start off by having a volunteer or an intern. If you have trusted friends or family that you can collaborate with, find the necessary individuals who can fill up the areas or expertise that you lack the most in. So, for instance, if you're not really a finance person, but your business idea is more finance heavy, then you might want to get someone to help you with that. If it's operational, you might want to get someone to help you with that. If it's social media, customer interaction, you might want to get someone to help you with that. Get the help that you need to ensure that things are still running in your absence. So daring greatly is something that has to be excuseless. Excuses are never ending, and I can make an excuse for every single thing that I want to in life. But if I truly want to be in my 30s, if I truly want my 30s to be the decade that I envision in my mind, the life that I envision in my mind, then I need to make the necessary adjustments now. I need to get out there and network. I need to make sure that my time is being used in the most efficient manner without negatively affecting my home affairs, so my family, my children, my husband, and so forth. But I need to be intentional about my obedience to the call that God has upon my life. Make the talents and the unique gifts or the unique callings that God has given you more than just a side hustle. If that's the way that you truly feel God wants you to execute it, oh well and good. But that's not something that I have seen for my life. And I want to be intentional about moving in the direction that feels so natural to me. Now, one question that a lot of people have as they're approaching the age of 30 or in their 30s or even approaching 40. I know with the current employment climate globally, a lot of people are now asking themselves questions like, is it too late for me to start a business? Is it too late for me to go into a different field? Because possibly the field that they're in, jobs will not be as available as they were. And people are asking themselves, is it too late? Is it too late? Is it too late? Is it too late to start over? And again, it takes us back to the question of fear, right? You're scared that you've wasted all these years. You're in your 40s, approaching 50, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, what point is there for me to really start mapping out a different direction at this age? Or even as they're approaching 30, they're thinking, 30 is supposed to be a decade of stability. Should I really be thinking about starting from scratch? My take on it, not as a professional, just as an individual who really values peace and a happy life, is it's never too late. I think if you truly feel that your life needs to be in a different direction, pivot as required. As long as you have the safety nets, the support, and the foundation that is required, that as you're pivoting, things don't shake and fall apart. So if you're thinking of starting businesses, for instance, I've talked about how I want to venture into the creative space more assertively. I'm not going to quit my job tomorrow. I'm not quitting my job next week. I'm not quitting my job next month. I'm not quitting my job in December. You build and establish these other things while you still have the security. And then when you reach a point that you feel everything is sound and you're actually comfortable enough to leave and go full on to what was your side hustle, then you can do that. But while you have this extra income, why not use it to finance the dreams that you have? Another thing is your family dynamic. Is your spouse able to support as you venture into these other things? Will your children not be punished in terms of school, the resources that they need, and so forth? Or would you have to drastically or even moderately change your lifestyle in order to accommodate that change? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself. But the age simply being I'm 45, about to turn 50, 50 or 55 is the retirement age, should not be what stops you from being able to dare and dream to the skies and beyond. So that's just my take on daring greatly, and I just thought I should share based on what I was reflecting on about my 29th year. I think it's important for every single individual to live the life that they desire, to live the life that they are convicted God placed them on this earth to do. And another thing that I want to embody as I'm daring greatly, wrapping up, is just understanding the times that we're in. It's important that we know and believe that our greatest purpose, in addition to all these things, colorful, oh, I'm a creative, my purpose is this, my purpose is that. The primary purpose is for us to be able to share God's greatness and goodness with everyone around us. So whatever avenue through which you want to live your life boldly and you feel that God is pulling you in that direction, also find a way in which you can share the word. Find a way in which you can bring God into that space. How you can bring awareness of the gospel to the people that you interact with. If you love to cook, if you own a cafe, you can host Bible studies, you can share books, literature in certain spaces. You can share little pockets or little cards of verses with your customers. If you're a designer, you can have a tag with a verse. Find creative ways in which you can bring awareness and just share God's goodness with the people around you. I think that is all that I had to share. I'm hoping that this has been helpful. I'm hoping that it has inspired you to also think about how you can fearlessly and boldly dream and dare to live the life that God placed you on this earth to live. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope that this has inspired you to do something great and to not look at your life with an end date. I think up until the time that Christ returns, you have the sole responsibility to fulfill the purpose that God placed you on this earth for, according to the will that He has for you, and do it relentlessly each and every single day. I don't think age should be a limiting factor. I don't think years spent in the wrong path should be a limiting factor. It's okay to start over whenever you're ready. Just trust that God is indeed going to carry you through the process. I hope this video was helpful. Share it. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Until next time, bye.